Okay, so before we get into it, I would like to basically explain what I'm going to be doing in this video and why I'm making it. So in this video, we're going to do one full percentage of completions for Demo Man jumping in Team Fortress 2. And what that basically means is in Demo Man jumping right now, as I'm recording this intro, there are a total of 2,141 items. And so to complete 1% of those items, we need to get 21 completions roundabout. In fact, it's going to be a bit more, but you'll see why later. So what do I mean by items? Well, there's three kinds of things you can complete in TF2 jumping. It's maps, and then there's courses. Course is basically a subsection of a map. For some maps, usually longer maps, they're basically divided into courses, and each individual course also counts as a completion, as well as the entire map. And then some maps also have bonus levels. Mostly these are just very short, just one sort of section that's a couple of seconds long. Some of them are longer though, require more effort to complete. And then for each of these categories, some of them are actually intended for sticky jumping, which is what we're going to be doing in this video. And then others are intended for soldier jumping, but we also need to complete those uh, to get 100% completions, even though they're not designed for the game mode. And sometimes that makes it sort of difficult to figure out what you're supposed to do. And sometimes it leads to a bit of an awkward experience. So one thing I noticed in TF2 Jump is sometimes there's really good resources for what you're supposed to do on a given level, and sometimes there's not, particularly if it's not made for the class, or if you're not playing it for the class it was intended for. And also there's a lack of resources for bonuses. So basically, for every given item, you're always going to have the world record video watch to figure out what you're supposed to do. The world record speedrun, that is. But a lot of the time, a world record speedrun is really not helpful when you're just trying to complete something for the first time because the strategy they're doing is going to be the fastest strategy rather than the easiest strategy. And a lot of times, those are going to look very different. But if you have a map that's actually made for the class you're playing, you're also going to often have a showcase video, and those are like perfect. That's what you want if you're just completing something. But a lot of the times, those showcase videos don't have the bonuses, so you very rarely have any resources that are actually useful when you're completing bonuses. And that's basically one of the main motivations why I'm making this video. So why am I making this? I'm making this as a resource for other players so that you can see how you're sort of supposed to complete bonus levels. I'm also going to be explaining basically what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm going to make voiceovers like this. Sometimes I'm just going to put text on screen. Also, I'm hoping it's going to be entertaining, even if you maybe don't necessarily play the game, or if you already know the things I'm explaining. And also, I'm sort of making this as like a diary kind of thing for just sort of talking about some things I want to talk about, what I think about certain levels, etc. Yeah, let's get into the first completion. The first completion is going to be Jump Key Bonus 1, which is a bonus. And you'll recall I just said bonuses are usually just one level, but this is actually already an exception because for this bonus we're just playing through the entire map backwards. So it's sort of, I think it's around 25 levels actually. Okay, so this level is a bit of a puzzle, so before I show you my completion or the solution to the puzzle, first I'd like to explain this level a bit to you so you can maybe think about the solution yourself. So basically we start in this area and we want to reach that area up there. And to do that we need to go through that hole and this hole and so on. And so if we try to do this in like a straightforward way, we just sort of go down here and such. What you notice is in the bottom right, I'm running out of ammo because this entire jump basically doesn't have any ammo regen, and we only get the 8 ammo we have at the start. And we need to somehow get up here. So instead of going down here and trying to like catch ourselves somehow, we need we need to find some way to save ammo, and that's basically the puzzle, right? So let's have a further look at the geometry, I guess. So this wall we can shoot through, and this wall we can also shoot through, but we can't we can't shoot through this for some reason. And everything here, every ground here teleports you. In the hole here, it also teleports you, right? So yeah, that's basically the jump. So if you want to pause and think about how we might go about doing this, feel free. Okay. So what you saw in the completion is I used my secondary weapon, my grenade launcher, and this also creates an explosion. And this way I can use my pre-placed stickies to beat the jump. And I was extremely surprised after that completion because I was ranked 33 and just couldn't imagine someone doing it in a slower way than me by that large of a margin, right? So I was very confused, and then I thought about it more, and I figured out there's a second way to complete this. So what you can do instead is you go through this wall, and you just wall bug, and then you go down, and you shoot your two stickies, and then since you're wall bugged, you have all the time in the water just reload, and then you go from here to here. Or even better, you can use this wall, and then you're even closer, right? And that's probably how most people complete this. And I didn't realize that at all at the time. Okay, so I was just editing the video and I realized that instead of using this wall, you can also use this wall because it's also angled. You can also wall bug on it. And even for further up end, it's obviously pretty huge because it's so close to the end. So that's definitely the easiest way to complete this. Now in recording this, I actually realized there's a third way to do this. So basically what you do is you pre-place one sticky here, or sorry, you launch yourself, you pre-place one sticky, and now you pre-place two stickies here. And now if you keep shooting until you have 8 stickies out in total, the next time you shoot a sticky, the first one you placed, which is this one in my case, is going to explode. And then this way I can get over here with my stickies already pre-placed. So yeah, that's the third way to do this. So very interesting level, a lot of different solutions, and I hope you maybe remember some of those when you encounter some other levels which have no region where you can maybe also use one of these tricks. Okay, so at this point in the video, I'd like to tell you about two things. First, so consider that this video starts when I'm at exactly 83% completions, and it ends when I'm at exactly 84% completions. But sometimes new maps come out, and when a new map comes out, all of the like levels on that map I haven't completed yet, so my completion percentage instantly goes down, and that means I need to complete more maps, right? So usually I play the new map right away, and depending on if I think the map is interesting or not, I'll either cover it in this video or not, but I'll definitely mention that it's new, that there's a new map. And then the second thing is basically my idea was instead of recording the demos uh, of my completions the way I've been doing for the start of the video, I decided that I would record the gameplay right away. And the advantage of that is that you can see a bunch of extra information. You can see my ammo, you can see hit markers, you can see when I switch to third person, you can see if I have like show triggers on or anything like that, or full bright. So, right, that would be good for you to see. Uh, but unfortunately, I made a mistake. I accidentally set my bitrate on OBS to like way too small, so it's really pixelated footage. So that's also another reason why I'm not going to show you my entire playthrough of Jump Teardrop, which is the new map that came out. Instead, I'm only going to show you like the last jump and the bonuses. And a lot of the footage for the rest of the video is going to be a bit pixelated. It's especially bad on, well, you'll see. You'll see. Okay, so this entire level is underwater, so we have to deal with underwater movement. And not only that, we have to deal with modified underwater movement because this fucks with underwater movement. So let's first understand how regular underwater movement works, right? If you go W, you go in the direction your camera is facing, including like up. If you do S, you do the opposite. You go backwards from where you're facing. And if you press A and B, you just go left and right, no matter how far up and down you look. And if you press space, you go straight up. So basically what this seems to do, I'm not entirely sure, is once you cross over this line, any like towards movement you're doing that's cancelled. So right there I'm pressing space, but like I'm not going up, right? And it seems like the only thing that's unmodified is A and D. After I cross this, hopefully I can still go left and right. And I think also, by the way, underwater crouching doesn't knock you back any further, but I'm not sure. Also, if you're underwater for too long, your screen starts flashing blue because you're drowning, and you just have to deal with that on this bonus, I think. I tried to look for ways to turn this off, and yeah, and I didn't find anything, so that's pretty unpleasant. But yeah, basically my advice is since everything is basically fucked with except A and D, what I would do is I would just go crab mode, okay? So crabs only move left and right, so what you do is you go unbind W and you go unbind S, and now you just go left and right, and the reason you're doing this is because, at least the way I did it, is I decided that I would pogo across the bottom here, right? And if you're pogoing, you're always looking down. So if you're going down and you press W on accident, you just swim into the ground and you fail the level instantly. And if you unbind W, that can't happen to you anymore. And it's really easy to just press W on accident on instinct when you're pogoing because you just press that all the time. I guess another thing to add about this is when I first played this, I really didn't like it, but I think a big part of that is because it just feels so janky and because of the screen flashing. But in retrospect, I think the concept of having to pogo while only pressing A and D is actually pretty interesting. And if you've figured out a way to implement this without all the jank, could make for an interesting map. Man, Jump Drench, what a map. Somebody should make a sequel. So at this point, another new map came out, Jump Carbon, and I'm not going to cover the main map in this video because it's been covered extensively, but I did complete it. What I am going to cover is the bonus, because the bonus hasn't been covered so much. Basically, the only videos are world record videos. And one thing to note about this bonus is, I'm just going to start playing the gameplay footage here. One thing to notice about this bonus is that about 200 people have completed the map, but only 22 people as of recording this have completed the bonus. So that's about 1/9. Despite the fact that the bonus is 2 full tiers easier than the map itself. It's a tier 1 bonus, lowest difficulty possible. And the reason for that is that this is just very undesirable to play for most people, I think. This isn't like it's very monotonous for most people. Most people are just gonna like try to fit through these holes by bashing their head into the ceiling over and over again the way I did. And that's why nobody wants to play this. Um, on the other hand, there's a few people who seem to like this, right? Uh, if you look on the leaderboards, there's a couple people who have very low times, so they must have played this a couple times trying to do this very quickly. So they seem to have a good time with this, presumably. But yeah, for most people, they're just either they're just not gonna play it because they know they're not gonna like it, or they're gonna play it and they're gonna have a bad time because they just want to have the completion for like the leaderboards and stuff, like me. So, you know, there's some maps that don't get added to the servers because they're just considered low quality and people aren't gonna like them and they should be playing other things instead. And it just seems to me that this bonus is in the same category of content, even though the map that it's attached to is very good and people like it a lot. So does that mean that maybe this bonus just shouldn't have been added? Maybe they just shouldn't have zoned this and just left it at that? Well, maybe a lot of people would have been happier that way, and they wouldn't have completed this, and they would have been glad about that. But that would have been unfair to the people who did end up like enjoying this and who ran this and probably had fun with it. And I mean, the map's already added and nobody's forcing you to play this. Like, beating this doesn't really help you ascend the leaderboards. You get 0.2 points, and that's like nothing. So that seems like a good argument for adding it, right? So kind of hard to say. But there's more options than just adding this as a bonus and not adding this at all. The third option is, instead of adding this as a bonus, you can add it as a trick. Because if you add it as a trick, feels forced to like complete it as well. Actually, maybe some people do because they want like 100% trick completion, but that's like way more niche than regular completion. People aren't gonna feel forced to play this. Newer players aren't even gonna know this exists. And the people who are like hardcore into this stuff who wanna like speedrun this specific type of content, they're gonna find it anyway. They still get their leaderboards, they get the timers, their they get their uploaded world record if they get the world record. And it just seems like that option satisfies everybody to me. So that's just my thoughts on this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Except I just before this I checked the world record for this. I'm not gonna show you the rest of my completion because you're not gonna learn anything from it. And it's like 20 minutes of just me bashing my head into the wall like this. But the world record does something very smart. I didn't learn anything from playing this bonus, but I did learn something from watching the world record. Because you see what he's doing here is he shoots one sticky on the ground, and then he turns by 180 degrees, and then he shoots second sticky. And what that does is the stickies are now exactly opposite of him. And so when he detonates, the horizontal components of their velocities will cancel each other out because they're exactly opposite. And he just shoots straight up. So if he positions himself directly below the hole and then does that, he just shoots straight up through the hole. And that's just a very interesting idea that I had never considered before, and I'm glad I learned it. So with that completion, I was done. 84% achieved. And I started editing the video, and it took me about 3 weeks, and I was almost finished. And then new maps came out, and that put me below 84%. And so now I have to get some more completions before finishing the video. And there were two new maps that came out. First is Jump O Mill, which I'm showing you now. Right, so because of the new maps, I needed 3 new completions, and that was 2 of them. So now I just need 1 more on the new map, the other one. And that new map is Jump 6-2, and Jump 6-2 is Jump Tier 6 2. That's not why it's called that. It's Tier 6. Much too difficult for me at this point. But it also has a bonus level, and the bonus level is also too difficult for me. In fact, probably the map looks easier than the bonus, in my opinion. But I haven't seen anyone complete the bonus, so maybe that's why. I'm not really sure how to do that one. So I decided I need to play something different. And I wanted to play something easy because I'm on a weird setup right now. This is not where I usually play. I'm on like a horrible mouse. So I decided that I wanted to do something easy. So I went to my list of incomplete tier 3 bonuses and picked one that I didn't recognize because the ones I recognize are probably hard. And I randomly decided to play. So for this one, the strat I'm showing is not the tier 3 strat. The tier 3 strat is actually the world record strat. I'm doing the intended strat, and that one is probably like mid tier 4, maybe a bit higher, maybe low tier 5, something like that. So nice. Again, I am above 84%, and I wake up and I'm ready to finish the video and upload it, and I see that another 2 new maps came out. So So now I'm finally done. I even have one completion more than I need, and I can finish the video. And if you got to this point in the video, you're probably wondering, am I going to make another one like this? Because probably you either enjoyed the video or something. And the answer is yes. I am making at least one more of these because one motivation that I didn't mention at the start is I actually had a New Year's resolution of getting 85% demo completion this year. And originally I was just going to make a video like this for that last percentage, but then I decided I might as well already make one for the percentage before that. And that's what this is. And I think this was good practice. I realized a bunch of things that I can do better and just have a better process of making this. And you will see that in the next video. I mean, hopefully. Nevertheless, uh, I would really appreciate some feedback on this because this is like, I think, a completely new format. I don't, as far as I'm aware, nobody has made anything similar to this. For example, one thing I'm wondering about is if I do like, let's say I complete a very long map, like for example, Jump Happy Gong, should I actually put the entire completion in this and just have like a 1 hour segment of me completing Jump Happy Gong? It's like as long as the entire rest of the video, or should I do it like this video, where I only like include the hardest levels? Sort of depends on what I want to make, right? Because if I only do the hardest levels, then it's going to be a lot more entertaining for people. But if I want this to be like helpful for people to actually complete the level or the map, then I should include everything, right? So that's sort of something I need to figure out, and I would appreciate some feedback on that. In general, any feedback on this is appreciated. If this helps you complete any of these levels or motivated you to play them in the first place, I would also like to hear that. That would also help motivate me because, like, I'm making one more video of this for sure. And after that, it sort of depends on how motivated I feel. And a big part of how motivated I feel, since I'm not making any money from this, and I know that I basically can't make any significant amount ever. Basically, just community response is going to be the main thing that motivates me to continue making these. Anything else? One huge inspiration was Beanie, of course, who makes soldier completion videos. And I just realized that there wasn't anything like this for Demo Man, so that was one reason I wanted to make this. Also, just awareness that there aren't enough resources for bonus completion. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Also, another thing I want to do next time is for these sections where I'm talking to the camera, I'm going to actually make a script because I'm just I have like a rough idea of what I want to say, and then just start talking to the camera. And there was like a couple times where I forgot something, and I didn't want to like edit it in afterwards. But yeah, also this kind of seems like content people could react to on stream. If you want to do that for this one or the next one, feel free. But uh, yeah, just make sure people can find my original video, and also try to make it transformative in some way. You can figure out the best way to do that yourself. I think there's a couple ways. Oh, also, next video, you can expect, since it was a New Year's resolution, obviously I wanted to finish it before the end of the year, and you can probably expect it earliest in July and latest in like September, hopefully.